pursuant to our collective agreement, wouldn't have to remit and could be doing that for 4 years, then gets a job where he needs 4 workers. That's the kind of harm that I think that an abandonment clause should ensure that it protects against, as it should a contractor who is on purpose going underground. We have trades that can be done out of the back of your car. A tile setter can operate out of the trunk of a car in the basement of a building like this, for example, and we would never see them. So for Mr. Medernach to get out onto a job and actually monitor is very difficult. It's not like they're putting up pieces of steel. So that's all our only concern on the abandonment, and I don't know if I answered your question or I made it more difficult. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you actually clarified it. Thank you very much for the clarity of your report and the clarity of your answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leclerc. Keep in mind we have less than 5 minutes before our total allotted time, and the next presenter, we have 3 speakers to go. Mr. Wanchuk.
Just one question. You talked about the issues where people have raised Saskatchewan only province that dictates employer and employee designations or organizations, and I just briefly was going through your written submission, and you list a number of jurisdictions where that occurs, and where you take issue with the background, and I was wondering if you could just expand.
We find the argument rather strange. We find the stated concerns, I don't know, alarmist. It's just, we've got designation systems in all of those provinces that I listed. Am I familiar with all of them intimately? No. I've practiced law in Ontario. I've appeared before boards in Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and they have the designation systems. Construction hasn't grounded to a halt. Employers are not afraid to come into the provinces. That's not what's stopping people from building. It's not legislation. Whether they're in fact, the designations, and again, I would have to refer you back to the Crispo report, Crispo and Goldenberg, or Don Franks in Ontario. They've done all of these extensive studies to find out ways in which they can manage the construction industry so that it's not in a state of turmoil, so we don't have leapfrogging, so we don't have the pipe fitters are out on strike from March till April, and the iron workers are on strike from June till July, and the bricklayers are on strike from August till September. What they've done is they've come up with these provincial bargaining schemes with designated employee bargaining agencies and designated employer bargaining agencies, regardless of the names they use. What they wanted to do, and what, in my respectful view, they have done, is stabilized an industry that wasn't so stable at one time. And now clients know collective agreements are up on a certain date. In the province of Saskatchewan, not only do they know the date they're up, they know they're going to be ratified because they have been for the last 5 times through. That's the stability that was lacking in the industry in the 60s and partway through the 70s, and depending on the province. That was the harm and the ills that were spoken of in the Goldenberg, Crispo reports and the Don Franks reports, and by some of the authors that I mentioned to you earlier. So we've got these designation systems as an effective legislative mechanism to ensure stability in an industry that's critical to most communities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wanchuk. Ms. Schreimer.
Hi. Thank you again for your report. The issue seems to be, with what you're telling us, is that we're short workers, we're short tradespeople. Do you have a solution as to how we could overcome that?
We're working. Do we have the magic bullet right now? Absolutely not. We've tried a number of things, and we continue to try. We're reaching out to underrepresented groups in the construction industry, whether that be First Nations groups where we've run courses for, whether that's women that we've encouraged to come into the trades. There are other cultural groups and new immigrants that don't immediately come or don't immediately think about the trades as an answer. We're working in the schools We're, in fact, tradespeople are sometimes our own worst enemy. We all want our children to do better than we did, right? So do I want my son to be an electrician? No, I would like him to go to university and do this. Do I want my daughter to be a tile setter? No, I'd like her to be a doctor. And so as a society, we've sort of lessened the esteem of the trades. We're trying to work with the school boards and teachers to try and bring the esteem back of being a tradesperson. We've got tradespeople that are making a lot of money and are very rewarded at the end of the day. As I said, I was an electrician by trade, and sometimes that's difficult. You see the lights operate, but what have I done? Our trade, the ones that Clarence represents, we do the brick and the tile and the stone. We built this building. So those workers get to walk back and say, look what I've done. So there's this sense of pride in it. So we're trying to put that to the forefront so we can attract people again to the trades. And I know the other trades are doing the same thing. So, no, I don't have the absolute solution, Ms. Schreimer, but we're trying, and we're trying everything we can to pass this trade, and I'm sure the other trades are doing so as well, down to future generations. And, more importantly, to people that haven't had access to it before.
Thank you.
One final question from Ms. Eagles.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I was just wondering how many bricklayers in Saskatchewan, what percentage is unionized?
I would say we got the helpers and also, so we're looking at roughly 200 members. I would say the industry, we're probably 80% unionized.
I'm sorry?
80%, I would say, unionized.
Okay.
Our industrial side is probably 100%. Commercial is next highest. And residential, we've got a few smaller contractors who hire a few people. And I'll say something. Majority of my contractors, voluntary recognition. When I was out organizing, I talked to the workers. The workers' position was that employers willing to be union, we have no issue with it. Most of them were former members of our local, which fell apart during the 80s. So like I said, it's our industry. I don't know where there's be a contractor coming from the mason industry to saying they want change.
Okay. And Mr. Aitken, when earlier in your report you were discussing, you said you had paperwork to support some legal issues that were happening, I think with CEP. Yeah. And that's actual evidence, it's not assumption?
Absolutely, and we will.
You provide it.
I'll provide it, and do I provide it through Ms. Paris again?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, we'll provide that. We'd be happy to do so.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eagles, and thank you very much, gentlemen, Mr. Aitken and Mr. Medernach, for your very detailed presentation and your very concise answers. And on behalf of the committee, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
We will facilitate a quick change and get back on schedule. Our next presenters will be the Saskatchewan Business Council. We'll go without recess, and just to facilitate additional time for equal time for all parties, we may just go a little bit into our recess time after this next presenter and convene after that. I'd like to officially welcome the Saskatchewan Business Council. And for the purposes of Hansard and committee knowledge, if you could just introduce yourselves, please.
Michael Fougere, President of the Saskatchewan Construction Association, member of the committee.
Marilyn Braun-Poland, Vice President for Saskatchewan and Agribusiness for the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, CFIB, co-chair of the Saskatchewan Business Council.
John Hopkins, CEO, Regina District Chamber of Commerce, member of the committee.
Alan Tomrat, CEO, Canadian Home Builders Association, Saskatchewan, HR Chair, Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce, and member of the committee.
Thank you very much. If you just do your presentation.
Well, on behalf of the Saskatchewan Business Council, we would like to thank you for allowing the Council to appear before the Standing Committee on Human Services, which is reviewing Bill 80, the Construction Industry Labor Relations Act Amendment 2009. As way of background, the SBC consists of 53 organizations across Saskatchewan. The SBC not only represents but also speaks on behalf of the majority of businesses across the province, and we do welcome the opportunity to present our views this afternoon on Bill 80.